It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.
Status check. How far we got to go?
It looks like about 2 kilometers.
About 2 kilometers or 2 kilometers?
Okay, technically, it's 2.8 kilometers.
Well, that's 3 kilometers.
You need to stop screwing around and get there and get back.
Screwing around? I don't even know what I'm doing out here.
Calm down, man. You need to
Chris, can you hear me? You're breaking up.
Hey, man, you...
Chris, can you hear me? You're breaking up. Oh man, this is weird. What the? What the? Oh no.
There you go, Mikey's first film.
There you go, our first little scene that we filmed together, and we're so excited. At least I'm so excited. Really, really funny to me. It's like, hey. So anyway, you guys are still watching, obviously, so you'll be on in a minute. They're still latent. But somebody
I'd like to
texted, they were
point
like, what the hell did I walk into?
Did anybody have 9:06 as the start time?
Nobody had 9:06. I had 9:09. So
So close to a free mug out of my cabinet, but no,
Nope.
not today.
I think people forgot to look, you know? People forgot.
Well, you snooze, you lose.
Snooze, you lose. That's right. So
Well, I think you did a great. That's how Steven Spielberg got started, and George Lucas. You could be the next empire builder.
if only it had been 50 years ago I started doing this, I would probably be in pretty good shape.
Well, you know,
What are you going to do? What are you
you
going
are
to
where
do?
you are.
You are what you are, dang it. So
It is as it is. As it is.
yeah, I guess a cliffhanger. It is a cliffhanger. Definitely the cliffhanger series. You got to know what happens next.
Well, I'd like to point out that the Nassau cap I was wearing in the clip was something that my brother John got as a gift for Jay Weigel, the film composer,
No shit.
like 5 years ago. He said to me, maybe 6 years ago, he said to me, "Hey, Paul, Jay's a big NASA fan. Next time you're working with him in the studio, would you give him this?" And I would say in the last 6 years, I've seen Jay countless times in the studio, for meals, never once remembered to bring the cap, much like I never remembered to bring you your mug for weeks and weeks and weeks. So there it was, clean and unused. And I got to wear it in the scene. So now I can tell him, "Hey, man, here's the cap my brother promised you, and it's been in a movie." So
Nice. That's right. It's been in a movie now. So now it's it's even bigger. Even a bigger deal.
I'll tell him it was an indie flick.
That's right. Well, it was, right? It was. So anyway,
Yeah.
guys, we're looking at this technology to play around and make some Nine Lives videos and some other things. this was kind of my first little foray into playing with this stuff, which is basically little astronaut guy, Mars, all of that stuff was obviously done in this crazy 3D software. It's nuts, man. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
I'm very interested. It would be fun to make a Nine Lives video using that, because then not only do you have New Orleans, but you have it's like a cross between something that was shot in real time and animation.
Right.
Animation is still cartoons. Real time leaves out some fantastical possibilities that this thing can create. So it's going to be interesting for me to see what evolves from that.
Well, we're working on a Brooklyn scene, or a New York scene at least, to kind of. He's trying to do.
Oh, that's not
some
Nine
old
Lives,
pictures.
though. That's the other thing. Johnny's
That's the other
working
thing,
on.
right? But I did want to say he is working on a Brooklyn scene for that other thing, which is basically some of the stories from your life
And
brought to real life.
you told him I sent you the picture?
The picture? Oh no, I didn't tell him. Johnny, he sent me the picture of the counter in the. He sent me the pictures of that he took last time he was there, when he was trying to. You were just going to visit the old neighborhood, right? See what was still there, what wasn't.
I know. I think he went to a local place and took those pictures.
I see. So yes, he sent me the pictures.
The deli I worked in was really small. It was literally a New York deli where you walked in and the shelves were lined with product, but really you were there to buy a sandwich. And there was a sandwich counter and a cashier and wooden shelves all around you with stuff on it.
And that was just like a little store, like a little Conseco's, basically in the middle of New York.
It's like half the size of Conseco's.
Right, like a little.
Literally, little store. It was a little deli.
I've been to those little delis in New York. They're awesome. They're hole in wall, basically. You walk in and it's like a pizza by the slice place, right? It's like literally one room that's like 10 by 12 with a counter.
It's Italian. Right.
And
I remember the owner I've told you, he's a big Italian guy named Dennis Alestri. 6.5 foot tall, hair parted down the middle, classic late 70s look in the mid 80s. It was great. And so one day he comes to me, he says, "Hey, Paulie, I'm leaving you in charge. I'm going off to Arkansas to go to auctioneering school." And I said, "Auctioneering school, huh?" He goes, yeah, it's a great sideline in auctioneering. I'm going to get into it. I said, "All right." He goes, "So you're in charge, all right? So, when you're ordering, do the right thing. Make the shelves look nice, but don't go overboard. Like you did last week with the ice cream. You went nuts ordering ice cream. This week, just enough to fill a cooler, I mean, don't go overboard, but don't scale out either." I said, "Well, what do you mean by scale out?" He goes, "Well, don't be a scalp." And I was like, "Well, what does that mean? I don't want to do it, but what does it mean?" He goes, "Paulie, I'm saying don't overstock and don't be a fucking scale. What about that? Don't you understand?" I'm like, "I don't understand what kind of scale is." He goes, "A scale is a fucking scale, Paulie. Just don't be one." And he walks out all mad at me, right? So the partner comes in, who's Irish. His name is Arch, and he talks down here in his throat like George Carlin did about the Irish in New York. And he's a real short guy, and he's got a mustache and a forever cigarette dangling out of his mouth. And he goes, "Hey, Paul," he's grabbing beer to go watch the Yankees game. Neither of them worked in the deli. I did everything. Grabbing beer to go watch the Yankees game. And he goes, "Hey, Paulie, I hear Dennis said he's going out of town. He's leaving you in charge. Good for you, Paulie." I said, "Well, thanks, Arch. I appreciate the confidence, but he told me about the ice cream. He said not to buy too much." And he goes, yeah, you did that last week. You're way overboard." I said, "But he told me not to scale out, so I don't want to do that." But he wouldn't tell me what a scale was. He goes, "Paulie, a scale's a fucking scale with a cigarette dangling." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great. I don't want to do that. What is it?" And he goes, "Paulie, he told you not to be a fucking scale, so don't be a fucking scale. What about that don't you get?" I'm like, "Arch, I don't get what a scale is." He goes, "A scale's a fucking scale. I'm late for the game. Just don't be one." And so I spent half a lifetime asking New Yorkers what a scale was. And nobody would tell me. They said, "I've heard it before, but I don't know." I finally was watching Miller's Crossing, which I worked on. And there's a scheme where they call Bernie Birnbaum a scale. So I think it might be a Jewish slur. I don't know. I know that whatever it is, it wasn't cool, man. Nobody in New York wants you to be one. And so I tried my best not to be one, even though I didn't know what it was to be one.
Right,
So
right.
it was a pretty fine line you were walking there.
You were waiting for this moment where suddenly, it's like, there you go, you're being a scale, and you're like,
That would have helped. That would have totally helped.
right, you at least
As
had a
if I
clue.
could have known,
Maybe you're just naturally not a
Talking
skill.
about the deli, and last week I went out on Wednesday. The voice thing wasn't working, but you were asking about the deli and Pete the Toothless Drunk, or somebody asked about, and I don't know his last name. And God rest him, he's probably gone now. And I wouldn't want to offend him by saying his last name or offend his family. But his name was Pete, and he had white hair with no hair on top, and he had bushy black eyebrows and a big crooked long nose. And he would come in every morning in the deli around 7 in the morning, right when it was full of stockbrokers, all dressed up, getting coffee, going to catch the subway, go to Wall Street. And here's Pete in a wife beater T-shirt, smelling like cigarette smoke and alcohol, because he worked in a bar and he cleaned it up at the end of the day. And he'd come over and get his dinner before he went home to go to sleep. And people would give him looks and they'd shun him. But Pete didn't care. He was a really friendly guy. He said hello to everybody, and he was always just get his sandwich and his beers and go home. But one morning he came in and looked like he might have had a few, and he was in like a dark cloud, and he goes, "Paul, I gotta call my ex-wife in Boston. Name's Laverne." He slaps a 5 on the counter, give me some change for the payphone, back when they had payphones. So the payphone's like right across from the cashier, and it's just me and him in the store. And he's putting quarters in, and he's looking at me, and he's going, "She's gonna hang up on me, Paulie. She's a bitch." He gets the phone. It's like, 7 o'clock in the morning, so it's really early to call somebody. And he goes, "Laverne, it's Petey. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. I just called to tell you. You're a bitch, Laverne." And he looks at me surprised. He goes, "She hung up on me, Paulie."
Right.
Slaps another 5 on the counter, and he goes, "Give me $5 and change. I'm going to call her back. I can't believe she hung up on me." He's putting the coins in. He goes, "She's going to hang up on me again. She's a bitch." And he called me. He says, "Laverne, don't hang up. Don't hang up. I know what I said. Don't hang up. I just wanted to say, you're a bitch, Laverne." And he hung up on her before she could hang up on him.
Right. So who's going to play this guy? He's got to be in the...
Oh, man. He's going to have a face that only radio could love. Like this
Right.
guy had a crooked nose, and he missing a tooth maybe in the, I don't know, and black bushy eyebrows and white hair that stuck straight out on the sides, because he was, I guess, running his hands through his hair, and the wife beater T-shirt with his belly hanging out over it. And he was great. He was a character, man. That deli was full of them.
As long as he's got the right attitude when he makes the phone call, he should be ordinary looking. He should look like a normal. He shouldn't look like George Clooney. But, at the same time.
Well, I mean, I think that if the movie includes me at all, we'll have the Clooney bit covered. I sort of project that sort of gravitas, I think, the Clooneyism, where I'm sort of low budget Clooney, of course.
Well, I mean, that's why you had to be in the thing that we just showed, because, once we added you, all of a sudden it didn't look like suddenly it was like, oh, this could be Hollywood, just by putting you in it.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the lack of attention to detail paid to my surroundings. I got a big red throne chair and really nothing else. And as I have a very good memory, you cut a line of my dialogue. You cut a humorous little thing. I think that would have helped with the tension. Where I say, "Hey, glass half full, man." Just trying to make it easier on you, knowing that we're going to be in trouble. But for all your wisdom as the director, you cut my line, whatever.
Well, the funny thing is I realized when I went back to go do it.
NCIS New Orleans shut down the whole series rather than bring me back.
I know.
To compete with Scott Bakula. So, I have that effect, where my natural heat can be too much for some people.
I mean, here's something funny is I asked your brother, I was like going, now, because I sent it to him first, and I'm like going, is this kind of working? And I said, I mean, Paul had mentioned, seeing his face, and I think he was busting my balls, but I think he was kidding. Do you think this thing works like this, or does it work better to have him be more lonely, like just with a radio thing? Does that make it more? And your brother goes, sounds to me like somebody only wants their face in it. And I'm like, no, I'm asking you. I'm like, no, I'm asking you if it helps the mood of the thing, I mean, he's only talking to a guy on the radio. Does that help make him feel more isolated?
Can I just say this, Mikey?
Yeah.
You've only been in the film business for 2 months, and yet you know the ins and outs.
Right. Anyway, yeah, he started busting my balls. He goes, "Yep, sounds to me like somebody wants their pretty face on it. Nobody else's, right?"
Little screen time for Mikey.
Yes, Mark, I did animate all of that. Built a little world and animated my little astronaut and all of that good stuff. Obviously, I didn't animate, Detective Dillon. He actually called in
Yeah, and again, the background was, as minimal as you could give me.
I know. Well, I was trying. I had this background with the. I found the Apollo, like all these buttons and stuff behind you. I know. I
That would have
couldn't
been
get it to
cool.
load in, and I gave up. I was like, you know what? I
But you
just.
got a big red velvet chair that made me look like the godfather of NASA.
Well, that was a shot inside of actually a spaceship. As you saw the bigger shot, who told me to cut it down to just a chair was your brother. He's like, it's too big. It's just got to be like a little thing with his face. And I'm like, you're right, like a yearbook photo, right? And I'm like, yeah, just like a little yearbook
See,
photo.
I disagree in that you're trying to make it inside the helmet.
Right.
I say you get away from the helmet completely. You just cut into the guy speaking as you would. I think that's one of the things that gave Apollo 13 the tension was that you see the crampedness and the impending danger for the guy in the space, and you see the guy in the big fancy room doing his best to help him, knowing what shit he's in, surrounded by all the greatest technology in the world, and he can't do anything but be supportive.
You're probably right. Cutting to you. That was a decision. That was more along the lines of what is easy to accomplish right now than, you know. And it's funny because I'm kind of building my scenes that way. It's like, what can I accomplish with this stuff? Because it is a fucking computer. I mean, it's not exactly
Well,
like going out
Mikey, if I
shooting stuff.
may,
Yeah.
if I'll just impart some wisdom that was given to me by the great film director Joel Cohen. It was during the making of Miller's Crossing. I was a PA, a production assistant. Just to start in my first film gig back in 1989. And they left me to guard set. And Joel and Ethan the brothers were tight, man. They were
They
beautiful.
seem to be.
Tight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it's real. It's love, it's trust, it's art. But Joel's very much a people person. He, like you, he's got his long hair, looks like a rock star, and he dresses like one. Everybody loves him. He's really easygoing. And Ethan is sort of short and curly hair, and he's real high strung, or he used to be 100 years ago when I knew him. He's probably relaxed as can be now because he's way successful. But back then he was very nervous, and money was always an issue, and timing, things taking time would make him nervous because he was the producer, Joel was the director. So they had rented a camera crane truck from Texas. Now, this is 1989. Now, there's a lot of film equipment in New Orleans, but you had to go to Texas, which was the nearest camera truck. You could follow the lead actor, Gabriel Byrne, up a flight of stairs and see the dead body in the apartment building. Well, the director of photography, I might have told this story before. Barry Sonnenfeld, who's now a famous director, but they'd gone to film school together, and he was going to be the director of photography, and he had decided he wanted to operate the camera crane, and he had never operated one before, and it's kind of tricky. So he was having a hard time negotiating a turn, and the shots taking a lot longer than they thought, and tensions are rising, money's being spent, and they break for lunch, and everybody goes to lunch except for Ethan, who doesn't like to be around too many people anyway, and he's nervous about the scene. He's pacing on the set, and I'm left as a production assistant just to watch the set and make sure nothing gets fucked with. So he's pacing past me, and he's famous sort of for not talking to people because he's real nervous. But I also, 29, had big brass balls. So I go, "Hey, Ethan, tough day, huh?" And he doesn't even break stride. He's like, "Yeah, tough day, Paul." I said, "Barry's having a tough time making a turn up there, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah." He doesn't even looking at me. He's just pacing. I said, "I think I might have an idea that could save the movie, save the shot anyway." And he stops, and for the first time, he smiles at me. And he's looking at this punk kid. He goes, "Yeah, what's that, Paul?" I said, "Well, Barry really wants to work the camera crane. We can see that. So he's having a tough time making the turn. Maybe if there was something interesting in the dark corner of the apartment building for the camera to linger on just before it turns and sees the dead body, that could really help him out with the shot. It wouldn't look like he was, having a tough time. It looked like it was art, going." He goes, "Yeah, what'd you have in mind?" I said, "Well, if there was like a Woody Guthrie type guy, with a guitar, playing a song in the hallway, just kind of hanging there, and the camera lingers on him before it goes and sees a dead body." And he smiles, he shakes his head, because I was forever playing my guitar on the set. And he goes, "Got anybody in mind?" I was like, "Well, it's kind of short notice, but I'd be glad to do it. If you can get me out of my PA duties, I'd be glad to do it." And he went, "You know what, Paul? I like it. I think it's a great idea. I want you to go to wardrobe and hair. I want you to get your head shaved, 20 style, get a good suit. We'll put you in the scene. I'm going to go talk to Joel. And if it doesn't happen, it's because Joel didn't like the idea." And so the day goes on. Of course, Barry gets the shot, and the camera truck goes back to Texas. And the next morning, Joel's walking on set, a whole new setup. We do another shot. And as he's going by me, brass balls again, I go, "Hey, Joel, I guess you didn't like my idea. And because he's such a nice guy, he actually stops. What idea was that, Paul? And I tell him the whole thing about the Woody Guthrie figure in the corner, and Ethan said he would check with him, and I was all ready to get my hair cut. And he goes, oh, no, I do. I love that idea. I can't believe Ethan didn't tell me about this. We're going to have to do that scene. We're going to have to put it in the movie. And I said, well, Joe, it's kind of late now. You've sent the camera truck back to Texas. It would cost a lot of money to bring it back. And he looked at me dead serious and went, Paul, what's the point in making a movie if you're not going to make it right? Go get your hair cut. And so naturally, this scene never made the movie. They never called the truck back. I didn't want him to spend the money. Right. But, anyway.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying.
That's from Joe Cohen. What's the point in making the movie if you're not going to make it right, Mikey?
This is true. If you're not going to do it right, what the hell? Oh, my goodness.
So I'd like a control room. I might want some extras.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. It was pretty cool looking, huh, buddy? I agree. The funny thing was, I think Paul probably saw about 6 versions.
I want mission control, and I'd like some extras in the background, just hustling stuff, and maybe even a second, like a second actor, just for a quick yes or no question.
Actually, the idea that I had was that you're actually on the ship, circling. You're orbiting Mars. So
I'm orbiting Mars.
Yes.
So I get a space capsule.
You're in a big old giant ship. And my idea, I do have a second shot in mind, a shot from that that starts off, on the screen that goes blank of me, and then it pans up to you, and you're just sitting there like, son of a bitch, he fucked this up. And you get up, you walk, and you look down on Mars because I got this big scene in mind of like, there's Mars, the big windows that we're looking at. You walk up to it, and you're looking down, and then you realize you have to call back to the people on Earth and say, yeah, this didn't work out. He's I don't know if he's okay or not. I don't know what happened. I lost him. I know he's stuck in the middle of a storm. We're not going to know what happened to him for a little while.
This is just a thought. But what if instead I jump into a space pod and zoom down to the planet
and save me
and hop in front of you right before the dust cloud hits you? You get in and we zoom back up to the ship and I save you.
That's very Hollywood.
Well, I mean, you got to go for the big bucks, Mikey, the big effects. The hero saves the guy stumbling through, the bumbler.
Yeah. I kind of saw you more as an administrator who would be like, who's next? Who's next for the, you kind of represent that. All right.
Yeah, I see me more as the aging Bruce Willis.
Though
gray and wrinkled, is still ready to take on the physical challenge of an action hero.
What might even be funny is if you go to get in the damn pod.
While still possessing the cerebral inner depth of a Clooney. It's sort of a combination of the two.
What if we came and had you sit down in the little
It's
pod?
sort of like Bruce Clooney. I could be Bruce Clooney.
What would be funny is if you go to sit down in the pod and you decide as you're getting ready to take off, what the fuck am I doing? I'm too old for this goddamn shit. And you start to get out of the damn thing.
Touch of Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. I like it.
Yes. And it's not what you expect. You expect him to go down there and save him. Instead, it's building up like he's going to go and save him, and at the last minute he decides, no, screw that. And then you go back into the ship and you grab some.
You're not making me the coward in this one.
No, you're not a coward. You're the fucking boss.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I had to beg for screen time in the first place.
So you go grab some other little kid and you say, hey, you need to get down there because, Mikey fucked it up.
Okay. My sister Sandy is watching, as she does every episode, and she had wanted me to ask, and I totally forgot. I knew there was something she wanted me to ask, and I totally forgot. Is Shmoo out there? Is Shmoo listening today?
Yeah, I saw her. Yeah, she's there.
Okay, Shmoo, my sister would like to know if it's okay for public knowledge how you got the nickname Shmoo.
So, yes, we'll see what she says. By the way, Philip Gussman agrees with me about you being an administrator type. He says, he could see you as an administrator type as well. You're the guy in charge.
Would he hire?
I mean, you're Scott Glenn. Not Scott Glenn.
Would Phil give me a job as administrator?
Yes, we'll have to wait and see what he says about that.
Who's says about that?
Who's the guy in Apollo 13? Gosh, what's his name?
You're thinking of Ed Harris.
Ed Harris, yes. So you have that gravitas.
And by the way, that was my suggestion. I was the one who brought up Ed Harris.
Yes, and that's your.
Whatever.
You're kind of an Ed Harris character.
When the master has truly done his work, he steps back and they all say, "Look at that, we did it ourselves."
Oh, that's cute.
That's
She
the
says,
Date
she says, yeah, do you know how she got the name?
No, I don't know how she got the name Shmoo.
Oh, well, then we won't be able to tell the story. She says it's a dumb story, though.
Oh,
So-
okay. Well, she can write it to my sister Sandy, and then we don't have to tell it on the show. But Sandy's curious.
Gotcha. I thought it was it's like a Smurf name. Like, I thought you were like, what's the girl Smurf's name? I thought it had something to do with you being a girl Smurf or something.
Yeah, are you
Shmoo.
really young enough to remember the Smurfs?
I do, yeah. I grew up with those damn things. I was like 8 years old in the
I'm
Smurfs.
old, man.
I remember
Yeah, that
little
was-
Papa Smurf and all
My
that good
nieces
stuff.
and nephews were into Smurfs.
I see Luis is actually Luis is here. Should we bring him out?
Well, it's time.
Well, I'm looking at him first.
Is
Is it okay to bring you out, Luis, before I do it? Yep, he's saying yes. Oh, Phyllis says as long as you administrate better than you sell office furniture. I'll have to tell him that when he gets back. That'll be a fun little. So let me bring you out, big guy. All right. So there's Luis, guys. How's
Hey
Luis
guys,
doing?
good morning.
Good morning,
How are
everybody.
you?
We're good. How are you doing, boss?
Well, you're on automatic. You're like, "Good morning, everybody." It's like you were doing the line from The Simpsons. Hi, everybody. Hello, Dr. Nick. That's what you,
Paul, I
That's what
think
you
you
were
missed it
doing.
as you walked away. Philip says as long as you administrate better than you sell office furniture, he would hire you as an
Yeah, that would be a big one. That would be a huge one.
So you probably could administrate better as long as you knew what the job was, right? You got this.
As far as I know, administrating is you tell everybody else to do the work and you don't.
Oh, Mark Abair is the one who named her. You saw that?
That's funny.
Yeah, he said, you're such a schmoo, and it stuck. She said something about being
Okay,
a
well, there you
Pensacola, but it spread like wildfire. And so I haven't,
That's great.
man, I wonder how Mark, I haven't heard from him in 25 years. I wonder how he's doing.
You know, Mark's in the Chiwis. He plays with the Chiwis.
Does he really? That's right. I think I had heard that
Yeah,
at
he-
some point.
He and Joey Mangiapane both.
Yes, the Smurfs were my favorite color too. That light blue looking thing. I did like the color.
I'm shocked that you're young enough to remember the Smurfs. That's amazing.
I know it wasn't even for my kids. It was for me. I don't know. I think. I mean, it could be that I'm clouding the memories, but I feel like it was for me.
Okay, before we get into
it, was,
Loki,
it was for you. It was definitely for you.
I want to say that I finished off the Star Wars everything.
Wait. Before we get to Star Wars, we got to talk about Mayhew Wars over here. You know, this is what we got to talk about right now.
What?
So we got to talk about the video.
Oh
I
yes,
mean,
yes.
We
The
got
scene.
to talk
Oh,
about your
video.
video.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
shit. Look at I took notes. You know, that's since Mike said he doesn't like critics. Bam.
You know what's funny is I got notes from so many people. It was so funny. But go ahead.
I want to see Luis's review.
Poor Mike's like ready for that.
Oh, I'm ready.
It was a lot of fun. Okay, first it was a lot of fun. So reading from Paul, as much as I respect your brother Johnny, I disagree with the whole little box thing.
You should have
Right.
been bigger, huh?
Because here's the deal. It looked like a Zoom call,
Right.
right? Everyone's
Right.
been doing a Zoom call this last freaking year. Nobody wants to see anything that reminds them of COVID, right?
That's a good point.
So go big flash, because I'm like thinking.
Well,
man,
my
like,
original
I thought
cut of
they
it,
were-
Luis, I had him like show up like he took over the whole screen, right? It was like I had this
Yeah.
big thing, and it was like he clicked on, and like when he's talking to me, he was big like that. But your brother did, Johnny did feel like that wasn't realistic or whatever. Because my first thought was Paul's gonna be mad at me if I give this little tiny fucking box to him. I gotta, and it was funny. It
I
wasn't
just
for the
thought it didn't look
story. It was
realistic. I
for the-
thought in like a movie, you'd be cutting from your scene, which is inside
Right.
your helmet, to my scene. which is in the
Not
big command
necessarily.
box. That's a movie.
Not necessarily. I've been watching a lot of movies lately where when they got the guy, you can see. In fact, I just saw one by Danny Boyle yesterday, and you see the astronauts walking.
He's a punk. He's a
Well,
punk.
you know, if that's the case, then I mean, maybe your technology's not there with what you used, but then you would have to see like the backward of Paul on your little two monitors that you had in your helmet. You see what I mean?
Right.
So it looks like you're looking at Paul in your helmet as opposed
Right.
to Paul being on the side.
Right. Well,
Again.
right, but it's like he's supposed to be part of the screen, right? He pops up, and that's kind of why it looks the way
Right.
it does and stuff, right?
And that's
so
why.
far,
That's why, you know.
Louis, I think your notes are great. Keep going.
Okay, so now here's my problem. Okay, whenever I put together a cosplay group for me,
Mm-hmm.
all of them have always been around humor. Okay, I've never had a serious cosplay group. I put together my Spaceballs group, my Saturday Night Live group, and I did Marvel Comics Luchadors. We combined Mexican wrestlers with
That's cool.
Marvel themed. Yeah. So now all my sons always had a sense of humor. And Paul, you don't know this, but about 20 years ago, I was taking acting classes. And one of the things that my coaches always tell me, they're like, Luis, you like shtick. You always like shtick. You always put shtick in your scenes. Even if the scene didn't call for it, you put it in somehow. So in this situation, you got to have Easter eggs for people, especially for people who are following you.
Right.
So Paul, as the administrator, I was worried about his motivation, right? So you're out on this desert planet,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if you're the first guy out there ever.
I know. You don't know. It's a mystery.
I don't know if Paul has already gone through this dog and pony show with somebody before.
Right.
So you could be just another fly in the ointment, another, like, if we lose them, collateral damage. Right?
Luis,
So,
may I interject one thing at this
Yeah.
junction?
yeah.
The writer and the director were hovering over me the entire time I was trying to act out my scene. The writer insisting on a verbatim translation, not deviating from the script, and the director insisting it be played the way he saw it. I'm not going to name the writer as Mike Mayhew, nor will I name the director as Mike Mayhew, but that's who they were.
Without naming them. That's who they were.
No,
It was
naming them.
Paul, call him M. Mayhew, all right? Or Mike M.
Mike
Your
M.
pick. That would keep it,
Well, as
Now,
it
of
was on
course-
set, I had to call him Mr. Mayhew. So,
Oh, fair enough. Director Mayhew, yes.
yes, he
So,
was there.
and then the other thing is, of course, my little wink would have been, as Paul's, like, administering, he's, like, taking a sip of coffee, right? A wink to this. And then you could be like, hey, stop drinking coffee. And Paul just goes, oh, no, this ain't coffee. Again,
That's great. That's great.
And then, of course, with my sense of humor, being that you're in a desert wasteland, somewhere in the background, I would have showed a partially exposed hair pick covered in sand, like from Spaceballs, to show that you're on the same planet. Again, that's just me. That's all I do. I mean, again, my humor, my shtick would have been there, my little nods. And I know you're thinking it was serious, and I appreciated it.
I
But,
feel like it has a little bit of a sense of humor because people were saying they laughed at the idea of me just like freaking the fuck out. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and the one that made me laugh one time had some friends in from India, and we went sledding, and we're going up this hill in Michigan, and my brother tells the guy, he goes, "Hey, go up another 10 feet." I told my brother, "Hey, metric system, they're from India." My brother goes, "Hey, go up another 10 meters." I'm like, fucking shit. So,
Right.
so I'm like, there you go. There's your, is it 3 meters or 3.8 meters? Again, that's where
Right.
my mind went. And here it goes. I got a what's it called? I got a sneak peek of the part 2. So here's Mike's guy right here. I got
Right.
it. Here's Mike the astronaut.
I look cooler there than I do in the video. So
Yeah,
thank
there's
you.
like a big old creature comes. I want your mother, and boom, here we go. I
Did
think
that creature just sit on my
right there.
face? It looked like he sat on my face.
He was eating. He has a big tongue out. So he was
Oh, he's
licking
eating
you.
me. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like a
But
dog.
this
He's
sort
like
of-
a big dog.
Oh no, this is another story for another day. But I mean, honestly, this I put out here on purpose, right? Because this is a badass stormtrooper, right?
He is.
He
looks
and
cool.
This is actually from the Bad Batch cartoon that I'm trying to get you guys to watch.
Yes, I know.
Enough for me to.
cartoons. So.
But here's the deal, though. Ready, Paulie? A lot of the stuff you watch in these Star Wars movies are cartoons.
You're right. They're just.
It's all
Can I ask
CGI.
you one question? In these
Yeah.
cartoons, does Jessica Rabbit make an appearance?
Sure.
Okay,
as long as
If I
Jessica
say
Rabbit.
yes, will you watch it?
sure.
No, but honestly, with these, you know how you like the whole Rogue Squadron movie, and we'll go into the Rogue One. You know how you like the whole Rogue One movie because
Yeah.
like you mentioned, it was able to stand on its own. And if you think about it, right, it told a really good Star Wars story without having to get Skywalkers involved,
Right.
right? Everything was a light mention here or there, but you didn't need Han Solo in there. You didn't need Luke. It told its own stories with its own characters. And honestly, that's what this cartoons have been doing for me in terms of telling great stories without having to resort back to Luke, right? Or they've been making little nods and references to other stuff, just like Rogue One did, right? So honestly, as much as you don't like animation, Polly, this is I actually finished Rogue One in 2 weeks. Just, I had to space it out, but not Rogue One. I'm sorry. It's called Star Wars Rebels. So that's actually been a really good cartoon show.
I heard that it's good, and I did watch it. I mean, I like the Clone Wars. I thought it told a good story. So I'm gonna get there. I've been kind of watching stuff like I was telling Paul. I watched Alien yesterday just to kind of see what it looked like. A movie made in 1979. Yeah. Oh my God, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. It looks better than half the movies you see these days. It looks better than all of the,
Swear to God, I scrolled past it last night. I almost settled on it. We settled on Kings of Comedy instead, which Allison had never seen, and she needed a good laugh.
Which is also a great movie, by the way.
She laughed her ass off, and she needed it. But I'm going to see if I can talk her into a scary movie tonight. I would love to do a fresh watching of Aliens.
You know what I just watched? It was the Danny Boyle movie I mentioned. It's a movie called Sunshine, and it was better than I thought. It's got Cillian Murphy. So Danny Boyle did Train Spotting and
right. I know this.
Okay, so this is a movie that he did in 2007. Chris Evans is in it. Cillian Murphy, the guy who was in the Batman movies, who played like the Jack-o'-lantern guy. What's her name? Rose Byrne from Troy. Anyway, good cast and just really a great movie. The way that they filmed it, Danny Boyle is very interesting in the way he filmed stuff. So they tried to make. Instead of using dark, it was light. Yeah, it's on Hulu.
You said Sunshine?
It's called Sunshine, and I was surprised every time I saw it, it looked like some cheap movie until I saw Danny Boyle directed it, and then it kind of piqued my interest a little bit, and I'm like, well, let me check this out and see what it is, and it's better than I thought it was. It's a good story. At the end, it kind of goes. At the end, it does do, and it's written by a guy named Alex Garland, who wrote Ex Machina and Annihilation. I think he wrote a movie called Upgrade. All really good low-budget movies. This guy's been writing and directing. Really good science fiction writer. I think he's won a couple of Hugos and stuff for some of his stuff, but really good. I finally watched Event Horizon because I had heard really good things about Event Horizon, which was also made by an interesting director. It was he did it in between. I'm trying to remember. Oh, he was doing that Kurt Russell movie. Oh, he was doing Soldier. That's right, because in the movie Soldier, Kurt Russell had to bulk up, and it was going to take him a year, so the guy went and made this movie in the meantime. But you've heard of this director. I'd have to look him up. I can't remember his name, but he's been around. Yeah.
I forgot which world that Soldier lives in. It's linked to another movie. I don't know if it's related to Alien or it's linked to some other movie. I have to figure out what movie it's linked to.
I want to say one more thing about Star Wars before we move on to Loki, and that is Rey pulls off a pretty tall order in that she displays the courage of Leia, she displays the sort of innocence and naivete of Luke, and the adventurous spirit of Han Solo. The first three movies had those three great actors to encompass that and to propel the story along. One actress really took all that on. She had the charisma of all three of them. I thought by the end of the series, she had taken over the Star Wars franchise.
Right. And of course, she has to die at the end of it, so that was the only, issue. I mean, we're talking about the end. You were talking about the main character from Rogue One, right?
Rogue One.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about.
That chick was strong too. Now, I thought the same thing about her. I thought, man, she's pulling off the impossible. She's a female playing it just like a man, just like Harrison Ford would have, with the same kind of charisma, the same kind of dash. And I thought that's a real notch up for Star Wars that they were able to re-envision the heroic characters as female. But in Rey's case, I thought she did an extraordinary job because she takes on, like I said, the personalities of the three originators.
I have to say I 100% disagree with you on the Rey character, but
why?
think.
Well, I mean, that you're totally entitled to that opinion, as wrong as it is.
Right, as wrong as it is. I don't think that she earns anything, so that's my problem with Rey. The other characters had to earn things.
What do you mean she didn't earn anything?
Rey.
I mean, dude, just because the Force came naturally to her.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I'm not buying it. I'm not. Everybody
I
else
mean-
has to train through the whole thing, and just for the ease of plot and plot armor, they run it through it. She can do anything she wants to do.
I
without,
disagree. I think that that's how strong the Force was in her.
Yeah.
And that was exhibited several times throughout the movie. In that Kylo Ren, who was way trained, had a struggle with her. So it showed how much more powerful the Force was in her than it was in him. Once she got the training, he was going to be no match for her. And by the way,
Right.
Kylo Ren, really bash him most of the movies, but in the final scene when he turns into Ben Solo, he's as likable as Harrison Ford. I just thought they wasted a big opportunity. They should have at least had some scenes with him as Ben Solo.
honestly, I think if they would have done the turn sooner with him, like maybe at the end of the one before or something like that, and maybe had Rey. I mean, I thought they could have done some way more interesting things, like had Rey make the turn and have him make the other turn. So in that movie, because that's where they were kind of headed, but they didn't know where to go in the last movie. I think it
I'm
might have
just
been more
saying,
interesting.
I liked Ben Solo.
I don't think you saw Kylo Ren. You saw Adam Driver,
Right.
and that's the difference. I think you saw Adam Driver. You didn't see Kylo Ren, which made you forgive him. You know, I still
No, I disagree. I saw Ben Solo. I saw Harrison Ford and I saw Leia and Han's son. For those few minutes alone, he was Ben Solo, and you could see his kindness and you could see his humanity, and he was still a great fighter like Han. And I thought that was great. I wished I would have seen more Ben Solo at the beginning of the trilogy before he got turned.
You killed your dad within 8.3 meters away from you. All right, so
You know what I thought was more interesting than the
No,
whole.
I'm not saying he
Junior
wasn't a
chopped his
flawed
face off.
personality. I'm not saying he didn't have some things to work out through therapy. I'm saying he had a nice scene there at the end. Just like in the second one where Yoda has that great, the second one's not as good as either of the first two of those three. But Yoda, and that was a great scene that Yoda had there.
Yes.
It sort of rose to the level of the whole movie as I posted on your Facebook page.
Oh my God! I mean, listen. A guy gets put in prison for murder. He reforms in prison, and he still has to serve his time. And I'm not as forgiving to Kylo for killing my favorite character from the Star Wars franchise. Okay,
Gotcha.
so even though Harrison Ford didn't want it,
Harrison insisted that he be killed.
well, that's because Harrison Ford got, he forgot that was the that made him famous. That was his.
He wanted to die in the original Star Wars, is what the thing was.
Of
He'd
course
been waiting
he did,
for his
but,
death scene. Right.
Because he didn't like. I mean, you don't like it. You don't like it. I mean, again, and I don't think he liked what it grew into. I mean, when the movies were re-released in 1997, when they did the improvements, right? When they improved the originals.
Right.
They asked him, "Are you going to go see him?" He goes, "Why am I going to want to see my acting of 20 years ago?" He was critical. He didn't like himself in the movies.
I have to say, he was great in the scene he had with his son Ben Solo in the third film was really great.
It was Ben Solo's imagination.
I want to say before we move on from this Star Wars
life
stuff.
is in our imagination, Luis.
Before we move on from the Star Wars stuff, I want to mention something about Rogue One because I really thought it was a strong movie. By the way, it was written by some of the guys at Lucasfilm had come up with the idea. I don't think they wrote the script, but they came up with the idea a long time ago. What if we show what happened in this little thing? But the idea that it was so dark, for one thing, Cassian Andor kills an informant. He works for the rebellion. So suddenly it starts showing you these gray areas of even the rebellion.
Right.
I loved the character that wasn't a Jedi but kind of had some Jedi, the blonde guy. I just loved that whole character, I thought that their character stuff, to me, reminded me of the early Star Wars stuff, more than the trilogy afterwards. To me, that one had the feel of the original Star Wars all the way through.
Just like Mandalorian does.
Yes, just like Mandalorian
Mandalorian does, yeah.
I mean, there was some... By the way, the idea of dropping bombs as if gravity works in space was the most silly thing I've ever... it looks cool, but are you kidding me? I didn't understand it. It took me out of the fucking movie. It was like, are you kidding me? This is the stupidest fucking shit I ever saw.
A lightsaber doesn't take you out of the movie?
No, a lightsaber is dropping bombs in space like gravity exists takes me out of the movie.
Magnetized.
What?
The bombs were magnetized.
Well, why
and
would
the
they
metal
wouldn't
of the-
leave if they were magnetized? They were in a metal ship. They would have got stuck to the side of the hull.
They had a demagnetizing button that dropped them, and they demagnetized from the ship, and then they attached themselves to the destroyers. You have to look into the technology of it all.
Okay, if you say
I
so.
understand you're not a very technically minded
the
person.
the part with Rose's sister dying, that was pretty dramatic for me. That was you know.
To me,
that
it
was
just looked
great,
like schlock. It looked like, yeah. I mean, I didn't have, there was not, I don't know who this fucking character is. Why do I care if she died? Kill them all at this point. It's fucking 2 minutes into the movie.
Jesus.
I'm just saying, I don't know who this person is. Why do I care?
Okay, you know what? If I knew you were going to be so salty today, Mike, I wouldn't have given you my critique. Forget it.
I'm not upset. I'm just saying.
He said he went to sleep 4 hours ago, Polly. So it
was a couple hours ago.
Working on 4 hours
Yeah,
sleep and not enough stimulants.
Yeah, we got to do the Wayne's World. Okay, it's okay, Mike. Just, you know, the sun's going down, big guy. We'll do the Hulk thing. The sun's going down, big guy.
Yes.
So
What is it? The sun's sinking kind of low, right? Is that what it is? The sun's sinking kind of low.
We only have 8 minutes left. Can we talk about Loki?
Yes, let's talk about Loki.
Yes, we can. So we had two episodes to catch up on, and there's just so much craziness that's happening in that
great
TV show.
It
is
such a great show.
I agree. I like Loki a lot.
Twists and turns don't come once at the end of every show. Like a lot of shows, they do a giant plot twist right at the end. They do like 3 a show.
Right.
There's a giant plot twist where what you thought was happening ain't happening. What you thought that character was doing is not at all what his motivations were. It's great. And then Owen Wilson got pruned
right
in number 4, which now you mentioned that pruning isn't what we thought it was because you've seen 5.
I haven't seen 5. No, I meant from the scene at the end.
It's still on 4.
Right.
Yeah, the year in 4.
It's just the scene at the end that makes you wonder what this pruning thing is. Does this mean everybody's dead, or did they just go to a different dimension? Right, where Loki shows up, and the other thing was I didn't realize those were other Lokis until I heard somebody else say it. The guys that are looking at him are other Lokis. So maybe Owen Wilson is gone, and maybe it's just I didn't actually realize that at first.
They're all one form of Loki, one way or another, right? Because the lead bad guy who was in the last Star Wars movie, right? Who killed the redheaded guy. He's that gold and green Loki. He has the classic colors from the comics on. And then you have Kid Loki, who in the comics also becomes an Avenger. Not to say that they're going to do this in the TV show. Then you have the guy who looks to have Thor's hammer, right? A variation of Thor's hammer. And then you have a freaking either alligator, a monitor, an iguana, whatever the hell that is, wearing the Loki headpiece as well.
I didn't see the iguana. I only saw the 3
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
so it's the kid's holding the young Loki's holding him on his lap.
Oh, gotcha. I'll have to look again, see if I see this iguana.
Yeah, and if you look at the upper left-hand corner, you'll see that the old Avengers Tower is destroyed.
Yes, I did see that.
So it tells you is that are they in an alternate reality where Loki won that Battle of New York?
Right.
Wow.
You know, and that's how they're messing with our heads now. And to your point, I'm going to say this. This is like Owen Wilson's best acting that I've ever seen him do. I mean, it's not
I
the
just
same.
think Owen Wilson is Owen Wilson. I'll be honest. I mean, I love Owen Wilson, but he's the same Owen Wilson from Wedding Crashers, in my opinion.
I mean, but they I don't know if you saw that song, but they prohibited him from saying "wow," right?
Did
because,
they?
That's his. Yeah,
yes.
You cannot say "wow" in this because that's his think line, right? When he's trying to think of his lines or something, he's like, "Wow, yeah, wow." Marvel, dude. Apparently, you don't mess with Marvel, and Marvel's not having that, right? Marvel will find somebody.
I think he's great in the role. He's excellent.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yeah, he's perfect. I mean, yeah, as a guy who's the guy at the office. I mean, his personality is perfect for it. Right.
So now the Falcon from Falcon and Winter Soldier was right. Remember, he goes, it's either androids, aliens. And what were the 3 times? One of them was an android. They're all androids, right? So you're like, my gosh, Falcon was right. They're androids. But now, one of the things is, I forget her name. The lead.
Sophie?
No, I forget.
Is it Sylvie?
No, not Sylvie. The girl who's in charge of the team.
Ravonna.
Yes. In the comics, she's the girlfriend of a guy named Kang the Conqueror.
Really
And Kang the Conqueror is technically the master of time
interesting.
in so many words.
Interesting, because she does seem to know more than she's letting on at every step of
Oh
the way.
yeah,
Right.
Right. So she.
right.
And the
So,
idea
you
that
know,
they're
so
all
they're-
variants, right? Like, it just kind of accept her
And
somehow.
see, here's the I think, okay, so I really wanted Mobius to be a variant of Loki. That would have been fun for me.
Uh-huh.
But you know, maybe Mobius is in his also in his own dimension, and like how Loki is. I mean, and the fact that they're all variants. I mean, again, that's awesome.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one of the things they came up with. I didn't come up with this one, but they sort of feel that TNV is in the that they're located in the quantum realm from
Makes sense.
the Ant-Man movies.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
Because-
where else could he be?
Right, because you got to remember, right? The Avengers were using the quantum realm to travel through time, and what better way to be into the quantum realm to always travel through time? And they also felt there was like a little city that showed up in the Ant-Man and Wasp movie in the background in the quantum realm,
Right.
and they sort of feel that maybe this could have been the TNV as well.
TVA, you mean?
You know, and
Yes.
Yeah, and like the best thing about this Loki show, I'm sorry, Paul, is it's a lot like, you know, WandaVision, where it's playing with people's heads on where these things can go, right? It's like maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that. You know, I heard another one yesterday that maybe it's not Kang who's in charge of the TNV. It could be like a more powerful Loki
Interesting.
who wants all the Lokis eliminated because
that's
of
a
the
good-
narcissism. You know, again, that's the thing about WandaVision, Polly. At the time, all these ideas that seemed to come out that made sense. All right. Same thing with
well,
Loki,
all of this stuff,
know.
you know this, Luis. All this stuff is leading towards multiverse of madness. Like all of it.
Yes.
Is, so,
Yes.
and there was talk about Kang. There's been a lot of talk about Kang being the next Thanos, Kang the Conqueror. So, her being the girlfriend, they're fanning those flames because they know those rumors are out there. So whether or not this is Kang, they know that, you know, people who know that this is Kang. I didn't know that, but people know that that's Kang's girlfriend in the comics. So they're definitely pointing people in that direction, right? To go, you know, could be Kang.
Well,
Who knows?
again, they sort of did that in WandaVision, right? And then they did a 180 on you, where you know.
I don't know,
you know,
because
we're
I think
not
everybody was adding the Mephisto stuff on their own. Because they even tried to put Mephisto in
Right.
this one at the very beginning. But this Kang thing, they haven't really, you know, I don't know. You could be right. It could just be them, you know. But I feel like
Again,
they
you know,
obviously
I
know
would-
what they're doing.
I mean, the fact that they got Sif in this as a cameo, right? You know, the would-be Thor's girlfriend from Asgard, kicking the shit out of him because he cut her hair. I mean, that was a nice little nod for the fans because she came out of the movie, she came out of the Thor movies, and so it was nice to see her.
Yeah. Lady Sif. I remember she used to show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. I loved, you know, she was
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
I'm glad they
So,
found a
yeah,
spot
so, I
for
mean,
her.
Yeah, so honestly, what's going to come up with Loki, I have no clue. I mean, now that he met these other Lokis, right? He has all these Lokis, and he's going to have to try to figure out how to get back because they don't seem to be dead, right? They
Yep.
look to be like just in another universe. Now, as to whether or not the TVA knows that, because if you think about it, TVA doesn't know that. I wouldn't send this Paul with another universe full of Pauls, you know, and they're going to try to figure out something how to get out of there. I would try to space out all the Pauls that I could, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want all the Lokis together. So I don't
Right.
think they think that it's another universe. So, you know, I don't think they're going to see it coming. And I
So-
hope they get Mobius back.
Yeah, I hope Mobius makes it in the end too. Obviously,
Yeah,
everybody
me
loves
too.
that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, look, if the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I think the turn for the other Captain America, I can't even remember his name at this point. The
Chris,
second, not
U.S. Patriot.
yes, the
U.S.
Patriot
agent.
guy.
U.S. agent. U.S. agent.
Yeah, U.S.
sorry.
agent.
US agent.
So I felt like the turn back to good in that one. I think they would have done better by leaving him, you know, more gray. You know, at the end where he does the heroic thing and kind of redeems himself. The Winter Soldier lets him off the hook. I just felt like, you know, they probably would have gotten more mileage out of it maybe less Disney, but more, you know, if it
Well,
wasn't quite
again,
that easy.
US
But
US Agent ultimately becomes an Avenger, right? He's
gotcha.
not he's not
But I
Chris
mean, it still could
Evans
take longer to get
Chadwick.
the turn. I mean, even Winter Soldier, you know, you see like little glimpses of it, but he doesn't make the turn till well after, you know, well into Civil War. So
But you don't want to you don't want to reinvent the wheel of doing the Winter Soldier arc with U.S. Agent.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
going to get drawn out
Right.
again, right?
yeah, well,
So I mean,
I just think it was
it's
too
cool what
quick.
Julia
But
Louis Dreyfus is going to do. However, she's involved. Again, she might even put together her own task force of Avengers run by the government. You also have the Baron Zemo people. They're going to run the Thunderbolts out of prison.
right,
So they have a lot of different directions they could take different characters. I mean, there's one thing I've been noticing. Everybody knows this. Disney doesn't do things on accident. You know, they know what they're doing. They know where they're putting the characters. They have some people who they're paying a lot of money to map this out. You
Kevin
know,
Feige.
maybe all the dialogue's not maybe all the dialogue's not done, but they have a very good roadmap, a very good outline of where all these characters are going to go and how they're going to replace them. Because if you think about it, right, the Young Avengers that are coming out, the Young Avengers have all been seen now in all they've been seen in all the movies now.
Right.
You have Scott Lang's daughter, right? Wanda's two kids, Elijah's grandson, and you have the new Hawkeye TV show, Kate Bishop, who Hawkeye's training to be an archer. She's in it, and now you also got Kid Loki. So you have 6 Young Avengers that have been spread out through the universe, and they're going to bring them all together.
Hopefully in a TV show and not a movie.
Well, take your pick. I mean, I'll
Yeah,
watch
no.
both
Hopefully in
right
a
now.
TV show and not a movie. But speaking of movies, Black Widow comes out. What is it next weekend?
Next weekend, next Friday.
weekend. So I'm looking forward to
Yes.
seeing the first one of those in a while. I've
Are
seen
you
some of
going
the
to go to the
reviews.
theater?
I think I want
Are
to
you
try to
gonna
go to the
and
theater.
watch it?
I would like to go to the
Okay.
theater and watch it. I'm vaccinated.
All right.
I might give it a shot. Although
I might do
apparently
that too.
whatever this Delta variant is, it makes it so that our 99% Pfizer whatever thing is like down to 70%. So that's a
Yeah.
little freaky, you know.
Yeah, people are scared about that now. You know, my poor brother even got scared of it, and I'm like, "Do you want me to go for 4th of July?" He goes, "You've been hanging out with people, and there's a new strand. We're good." I'm like, "Shit, dude, I'm sorry."
Right.
You know, okay, whatever. You know.
Well, I'm still
But
wondering
yeah,
about the
Well,
new
yeah,
strand
It's a
myself.
weird thing, you know. A strange one, all right.
But I haven't really seen. Okay, I haven't been watching the news other than the White Sox are still in first. That's like been the only news that I've been watching, right? But outside of that, I really, you know. Oh, and it's been you guys would love the weather here. The last several days it was nice and humid, and you guys would have been right at home. I hated it. And today and yesterday have been really nice, cool days, guys. So this is more my weather. This is where Paul would wear a coat, though. You know, I know that for a fact.
By the way,
Because when Paul was on it, yeah.
Louis says a possibility I might be up there working during Lollapalooza. So
No shit.
if it
Okay.
happens, I'll let you know, and we'll have to meet up and hook up at some point.
Dude, hell yes. We'll do another cup of coffee from
You
another
work
cup.
sound for Lollapalooza?
What's that, boss?
You're going to be working sound for Lollapalooza?
It's possible. We bid. We're hoping for the best. But yeah, we did bid on it. So if that works out,
Yeah, you could probably get a friend right up there on the soundboard with you, couldn't you?
probably, yeah. Although I'll be in my truck. It won't be the fun part because I'll be in a truck. But you'll see video. It's up to you because it'll be a TV mix. If I do.
No, I'll be Mike Mayhew's bodyguard.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, leave that guy alone.
Yeah,
That was
you
his
could
boss. I don't care who you are.
do that and be the you can be my ride every day, right? So you'll be my boss and my ride because I'll have parking for us. Don't worry, it'll be easy. It'll be easy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. I did not buy Lollapalooza tickets at all. I did not. It's not in my books this year. Well, listen, if I'm going to go to, you know, French Quarter Fest along with Dragon Con, where Dragon Con has already, you know, dug their claws into me getting all that money down. Yeah, there's no way I was going to fork over Lollapalooza. My friend Lisa, she's like, "Do you want to go to the Sox Cubs game?" And she's like, "That's $120 to go to that game." I'm like, you know, and then Shamar Allen's in town that day. So like,
Right.
I already bought
Now
the
you
Shamar Allen show ticket.
now you get to go to
But
Lollapalooza for free.
Well,
well,
we'll
yeah.
see.
If
I
Mikey,
haven't, we haven't got the bid yet. We'll see. We've been waiting for a
if
while.
Mikey
So.
makes it happen, I'll be so glad to have like I'll be like Wayne's World, I'll be holding up the Lollapalooza. Mike, I'll embarrass you, dude. I'll be like, hey, you guys can't take me out. Take me out. I'll be like, Mike, Mr. Mayhew. No, that's when he becomes Mr. Mayhew again, Polly. Mr. Mayhew, do you need another glass of water straight from Lake Michigan? It'd be amazing.
Yes, straight from
That's
Lake
true.
Michigan.
Paul,
All right,
Mikey, if
guys,
you make it happen. Oh yeah, we are so out of time. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, we're
So
6
Mikey, if
minutes
you
over.
make it happen, keep me posted.
I will. Yes, I will definitely keep you posted. And obviously, I have to send the next scene that we do to you, you know, so that you can give me your notes before we air it.
So you appreciated my notes.
I did. You know what? It's funny because I had a buddy of mine who told me that he didn't understand the screen thing, so I went and added another thing for that. And I had another buddy who, whenever people had issues, I tried to see if I could solve as many of them as I could inside of the thing. So yeah, it's good to have notes because you don't, once you see it a few times, you fucking don't know where you are anymore. Like once you put it together and stuff, you look at it and you're like, I don't know where it is anymore. After it just takes.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do need outside eyes because sometimes you're so into it, I mean,
sometimes it just helps me just
to.
I don't even need to hear your notes. Like just showing it to you, I feel a certain way about it sometimes where I start going, things bother me that didn't bother me until I'm showing it to somebody else. Music's the same way for me sometimes. I'll play a song for somebody.
Oh, no, see, yeah, I'm bad at those things. Like when I show a cosplay and somebody tells me a way to prove it, I'm like, fuck you. I'm doing it this way. Sorry.
That's okay. I have enough.
Sorry.
I think I have enough
Tourette's
self-confidence
kicking in.
to not have that be an issue. So it's all good.
Yeah, no, my Tourette's kicked in, guys. I'm sorry. It was bad today.
That's all right.
Anyway.
For the people who came late, we're going to play this video. And now y'all know what the fuck we're talking about. I'll play the video one more time on the way out.
Yeah, play it again. Play it again.
For the people who are going, what the
Have a
fuck
nice
are
4th
they
of July,
talking
guys. Have a
about
nice
today?
4th of July.
Yes, everybody have a nice 4th of July. Have a fun weekend. And we'll see you guys on Monday after the 4th, right? The 4th.
That's right.
Yes.
And thank you guys for joining us again today. We had fun. And next week we can argue about Black Widow, maybe. Maybe not yet. Yes, I need a picture of that guy. Is that like
I'll
a
give it to
MODOK
you.
looking thing?
Oh, yeah. His name is Sugar Daddy. No, Sugar something. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Send me a picture of him. I like him. All right, you
right,
guys.
cool.
Let's go fill up our coffee. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace
See ya.
out. Status check. How far we got to go?
It looks like about 2 kilometers.
About 2 kilometers or 2 kilometers?
Okay, technically, it's 2.8 kilometers.
Well, that's 3 kilometers.
You need to stop screwing around and get there and get back.
Screwing around? I don't even know what I'm doing out here.
Calm down, man. You need to
Chris, can you hear me? You're breaking up.
Hey, man, you...
Chris, can you hear me? You're breaking up.